It's time for the third video that I get to remake after bad audio screwed them up, but that's okay. I'm here for you. If you need help, just ask me. I'm literally sitting in my basement making videos. It's a lot of fun. I wish we were teaching instead. But today we're going to continue chain rule notes. Today we're going to focus on table problems. Very important. This is definitely something that's going to come up quite a bit in lots of different ways. We did a little bit of table problems with product rule and quotient rule. This is going to be even more applicable. Be ready. It's going to be on the AP exam. You're going to see it quite a bit. Not very long video here, probably about 10 minutes at the most. Let's get to it. Use the table to calculate the derivative of the function at a given point. So we've got f of g of x. We are finding that derivative at x equals 6. So the first thing you got to recognize is, what rule do I need to take this derivative? And hopefully you recognize that I'm going to need chain rule, because I've got an outside and an inside function. So let's do it. The derivative of the outside, the derivative of that f of x is going to be f prime of x. I'm going to rewrite the inside, and then I'm going to multiply by the derivative of the inside. The derivative of g is g prime. Write it out. Do not look at the table yet. That's the number one mistake I get with students, is they want to be in such a hurry to jump into the table that they're not willing to write out the values first. Okay, we worked through chain rule. There was nothing fancy about it here. Then I went through and I just plugged in what the value is. I want to find it at 6, so I plugged in 6. Now I'm going to do it. G is 6, so G at 6 is 4. G prime at 6. G prime at 6 is 3. Last thing I got to do is find f prime at 4 is 7. So that's 7 times 3. My answer is 21. So again, we just took the derivative. We rewrote it. We were nice and careful as we went through. We referenced our table to help us out. Let's do it again. Letter B. G of the square root of x. So in other words, G of x to the 1/2 power. Hopefully you recognize that there's an inside and outside function. We take the derivative of the outside. We're going to rewrite the inside times the derivative of that baby, the derivative of the inside. That is going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. We are doing this at 16, so it's going to be g prime of 16 to the 1/2 power times 1/2. Let's color code this. Sorry. No, we were good. 1/2 to the negative 1/2, and I'm going to plug in 16 right there for x as well. All right, so let's get to it. 16 to the 1/2 power. Do not let that bother you. 1/2 power. Oh, that's like the square root. The square root of 16 is 4. G prime. Here, 16 to the negative 1/2. Well, 1/2 power is like square root. So the square root of 16 is 4. I've got a negative power, so that's going to do the reciprocal. So it's going to be 1/2 times 1/4. That is what 16 to the negative 1/2 is. G prime at 4. So we're going to my table. G prime at 4 is negative 2/3. So I've got negative 2/3 times 1/2 times 1/4. These twos would cancel. My answer is negative 1/12. Boom. Let's look at letter C. Mama and a baby. Here's the baby right here on the inside. Okay, let's try to do that without some crazy highlight. Let's do it this way. Boom, that guy right there. Take the derivative of the outside. Rewrite the inside. And then I'm going to multiply by the derivative of the inside. So that's going to be 2 plus g prime of x. And the number one mistake is kids will write it like that. This is wrong right now, because I need to put this thing in parentheses, because all of that goes together. You're multiplying by the derivative of the baby as one whole thing there. Be careful with that. All right, let's start plugging in here. So 2 plus g prime, boom, 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 boom. 2 times something plus g of something. What's my x? X is 1. So it's 2 times 1, g of 1, g prime of 1. Let's get to it. So f prime, 2 times 1 is 2. G of 1 is 4 times 2 plus g prime at 1. G prime at 1 is 5. 6 f prime of 6 plus, times 7, because I got 2 plus 5. F prime at 6. It's always good when it's still on my table, because I know I didn't make a mistake yet. F prime of 6 is 4 times 7. My answer is 28. One more here, then I'll show you a few on the back side. Square root of f of x, so that is f of x to the 1/2 power. That is a chain rule. I've got an inside, I got an outside. Let's take the derivative of the outside. Rewrite the inside times the derivative of the inside. The derivative of f is going to get me f prime. I'm finding this derivative at 4, so everywhere there would be an x, I'm going to throw a number 4 in there. I'm going to do it. F of 4. F of 4 is 9. F prime at 4. F prime at 4 is 7. 9 to the negative 1/2. 1/2 is the square root. The square root of 9 is 3. But it's negative, so it's really 1/3 times 1/2 times 7. My answer is 7/6. All right, those are the practice problems. They all kind of look the same on the back side of this guy. We had a couple more. I'm going to do a few more of these. I don't need to do all of them, I feel like, but just kind of look. All right, so we're using that table. I'm going to work. I'm not even really going to care about the table so much here as just doing the problem. Okay, let's just worry about the derivative. All of them, we're going to take them at 3. If you want to use the table to figure them out, great. Okay, I think the answer key is all posted. F of x plus g of x. Do I need chain rule here? No, I don't need anything. What's the derivative of f? Oh, that's f prime. Plus, oh, what's the derivative of g? Oh, that's g prime. And that's just at 3. So it's f prime of 3 plus g prime of 3. And that's going to get me my answer. If I did use my table, and I went f prime at 3, that's negative 3, times g prime at 3, that's plus negative 5, that would get me negative 8 done. Number 18, f of x times g of x. Do I need chain rule? No, I need product rule, because I have two functions being multiplied. So first derivative of the second plus second derivative of the first. First guy, f of x, times derivative of the second, g prime of x, plus second times the derivative of the first. There we go. And then all I would have to do is plug in 3 and go to my table and work from there. Okay, I'm going to keep us going. Number 19. That one looks scary, but remember this is the same thing as f of x all squared. Do I need chain rule? Yep, because I got a mama and a baby function. The mama is the squared, the baby is f of x. The one that normally throws students off the most is 20. 1 over g of x. That is the same thing as g of x to the negative 1 power. Okay, g of x to the negative 1 power. So if I were to take the derivative of that, I'd write negative 1 in front. I'd subtract 1 from my exponents, it would be negative 2. I'd rewrite the inside times the derivative of the inside. That's the derivative. And then I could plug in 3 and use my table. But just be careful there. Rewriting is always going to help us out. Any other ones here that we want to see? 22, you need chain rule. 23, you need chain rule. 24, you need chain rule. 25, you need chain rule. 26, you need chain rule. 27, you need chain rule. On 27, I would suggest rewriting that as g of x to the negative 1/3 power because it's on bottom and it's cube root. All right, hope that makes sense. I know I went a little bit quick there. The answer key is on Schoology or on Schwann Academy, so you can kind of check to see what you need on it. If you got questions, ask me. Check me out in the Zoom chat. We will go through it then too. All right. Hope you have a good day, and we'll see you next time.